how does China differ from the U.S. in the afterlife? I would say that the generic U.S. afterlife is heaven or nothing, right?
It depends. It could be heaven or hell if you're like in the
sure, heaven, hell, or nothing.
But yeah, it's that dichotomy of like good place, bad place. You can go to one of those.
Well, and then some of us maybe believe that we go nowhere. You know,
there's always that option. Yeah.
You know, what is, especially in China, who seems not too keen on religion on the whole, what is the general belief in China that happens to you when you die?
According to the Chinese government, nothing. Because, you know, it's super secular. It's absolutely atheist country by law.
Right.
But that doesn't stop people from like believing in their own things or doing their own rituals. And what traditionally happened was it believes that there was a lot of reincarnation happening, especially when Buddhism hit China. So how a lot of people in the West see kind of like this physical world is like a training testing ground for the afterlife to prove you're good or prove you're bad.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
It's the kind of that same concept, except the Buddhist belief is that life is kind of pain and suffering, in that you're going to work jobs you don't want to do. You're going to have friends and family die. You're going to get sick. Life is going to be uncomfortable. It's not a happy place permanently. But you can escape from all that if you realize that life is an illusion. It's not real. Life only exists in your head. And if you can change the way you think, you can change the way you interact with the world. So you keep practicing that with every lifetime. And so the afterlife is, did you learn this lesson? Were you a good person? And if not, China had these 18 courts of hell or punishments, which is very Dante's Inferno, ironic punishments. Like, oh, you used to steal? Well, you're going to spend time with your hands on a super hot, you know, intensely heated copper column and have them burned off forever.
Right.
Until we decide that you get another chance to go back into the real world. So it's the same thing, a lot of fear, but not fear that you'd forever be punished, but fear that you would be horrifically punished for a short amount of time. And if you were good, you'd never have to suffer again simply because you wouldn't be reborn again. So it's very different.
So is the concept of this sort of hell, see, even then, that's somewhat of a hell, somewhat of a purgatory. Is the concept of this hell purgatory pretty common across cultures?
Not really. It's very Christian, Islamic, and very East Asian.
So not so much in more what we would maybe consider tribal religions?
No, a lot of tribal religions have they kind of didn't want to ask the question and they let the mystery be. Because again, we have this luxury nowadays of, you know, we have kind of comfortable lives where we can philosophize and think what would happen. But when your day to day is just trying to find food to survive, trying to find fresh water, trying not to die every second, and you and your family, you don't have that much time to think what happens after this because you're so focused on this.
Right.
They were just afraid of ghosts. They were afraid of something beyond our power, something supernatural is going to attack us. So if we don't show respect to this dead corpse, then they're going to come back to us. So again, it was survival for this world, tribally.
Yeah, so it's like, you know, Daddy, what happens when we die? And it's shut up, kid, and keep digging that hole because we got to plant stuff.
It's actually a famous Confucian quote attributed to Confucius, where one of his students asks, "You say all these profound things, but you never say what happens in the afterlife and why you die. Why don't you talk about that?" And his like sassy response was, "Look, you can't even get this life straight. Why are you trying to ask what happens in the next one?"
That's always been my argument. Oh, I love it. That's always been my argument. Yeah. You know, that we have a lot of people on this planet who, you know, think they, you know, coronavirus is a prime example. You know, we got a bunch of people and they're just all like, well, I don't believe, you know, Dr. Fauci because, you know, he's just the top doctor. I mean, he's full, you know, I believe Jerry, who works down the street at the shopping cart that basically knows everything about coronavirus. It's weird that you know, I personally don't know how my phone works, yet I could be a person who could tell you absolutely what happens after you die, the meaning of life and how the universe started and all this stuff. I don't know how my phone works. We all got one. I sit next to it every day, but I can't tell you how it works, but I could tell you all this other stuff. I find it ridiculous, but I don't know. Maybe I'm an atheist. I don't think I'm an atheist, though. I think I'm agnostic. I think that I believe that there's a cosmic right and wrong, and I figure if there's a cosmic right and wrong, somebody had to say what was right and what was wrong. That's as far as I've got.
It's that question that everyone has opinion to, but no one can definitively prove if they're right or wrong. So it's
right,
and people get entrenched in that. So it's tricky.